All right, YouTube, I'm a little bit late. Um, so we're apologize. I didn't hit. I thought I hit the start streaming. I guess not. Always buy high, sell low, right? And so one of the things I want to watch for today, right, which is interesting, is not only we broke this first level trend line, right, with literally no issues whatsoever, but we've broken this one here also, right? And so if we kind of true up that line just a little bit, let's just make sure it's like, you know, spot on with this. I kind of like it a little bit more like that. Let's see. Uh-uh. Yeah, so even a little lower. So I mean, it just shattered through all of this. It's crazy. So the levels that you want to watch for now, what's going to be most important here is the next just flat resistance lines, right? So if you look at the technicals on this, you have here right here around 451.65. You come over here, you have 451.33, 451.93. Like these are going to be some areas of potential resistance in there. Um, if if we can bust through 451.65 today, I mean, it's just going to be such a bullish day because you have what was once support, right here, acted as resistance, and that's what tanked us, right? So if it reclaims as support, then it's going to go up in a pretty big way. However, if we reject, I would almost take a line right here. This will be my mark today. 451.57 based off of the resistance, support, and then resistance, right? And so this is going to be a pretty massive area. So setting up my live trader, I'll likely set up my range off of there for the live trader. So around 450, 451.57, we'll remember that target. So now, as far as how low can we go down, what I like to look at is where's the 21 SMA on the 1 hour, which is right about here. So 447.22. So it is possible that we could reject back down for a retest of that before we pump back up, or we would pump straight up and then reject back down for the retest. That's going to be the two scenarios that you're going to want to watch for. So as far as a big play on a put, you can definitely do some scalps. I'll probably do some scalps that fall in the indicator. But until we flip this 21 SMA on the 1 hour, it's just gonna likely it's gonna bounce. So so that's kind of the range I would play, guys, today. If you're below that 447.50 or so, you can take those puts. But if we happen to pull back and we hit that, right, that's your cue for the call if we hold support. If we pump up today with market open, we just carried over news or the GDP news coming out bullish. This is a key line because like I said, everything in trading is and or if. It just is, right? So I like to give two scenarios because that's how it is. I mean, the market changes, right? So you need to be prepared to adjust with it. So part of the and or if today is if we pump up to 451.54 and we begin to see volume shrinking, we see the red on the divergence center, we start to see a short call from our indicator. You're setting up an amazing put, right? I mean, you could ride that sucker probably all the way back down to 448 or so. But the other portion of that is if we break through this with the news with some volume, we get up to like 452 or so, and then we kind of come back as support and we hold it like this. That pop north is going to be pretty wild. So that's the range I'd play today, guys. And again, there's some news this week that's pretty critical. So play your range and set your stop losses. So let's talk about the stocks. So Apple, we talked about this yesterday, how we were just kind of consolidating here. It's continuing to. Why does it do this to me? I'm like, wait a minute, this does not even look right. It takes me about 10 seconds. I literally click on it. So I use, okay, for anybody who's new to TradingView, when you use the quad chart like this, you have to click on it, and then I have a Mac, right? So I do Option Enter if you don't know how to do that, and it opens. And so Somehow I must have been on Amazon, and so when I clicked on this, it didn't click it. So when I open it, I'm like holding this range. I'm like, wait, 132? No, that is not. That is not Apple. Let's try Apple again here. Okay, so Apple. Let's talk about what happened here, right? So I hope some of you guys caught this along here. I know many people did in the room, and then I know CK as well caught this, but I got a small one. I didn't really let it run as much as I probably could have or should have. But the thing that you want to watch on Apple here is, remember we talked about this, right? Our shoulder, our head, our shoulder, and what we had talked about was if this trend line breaks, it's going to just rock it, right? And that trend line I just pulled, from pulling this peak to this peak. That's what we were looking at. And it was a very viable trend line because you can see, on the 1 hour for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, it could not break it. I mean, that's where how you know your trend line is pretty solid, right? So it tried one time to wick down below this 21 SMA, couldn't do it, reclaimed, and it ended up closing up here. That's what causes boom, 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 right? So now here's the interesting part, guys. So we talked about, kind of watching this level here. This level here it's an interesting line because I had some people ask me why I didn't take this wick, right? To me, I kind of wanted to pull it down a little bit just based off of the fact that although this one came up and it closed back below, it rejected, it rejected, it rejected, right? So that's kind of what I liked about that. And so you can see I was pretty close because the wick retest was like right here. And so there is a little gap right there, right? And so if I were to adjust that gap like that, it almost hits this wick perfectly. So now what that means is we are into a push above this potential neckline. We are retesting here, and we've successfully retested. So now what I want to see is a close above 184.90. If we can get a close above that on the 1 hour, then you're good to take some calls on that. However, for the pullback, if we flip this 21 SMA, which is around 183.11, probably be 183.30 or 40 by then. Then the fall could be pretty significant, right? Because keep in mind, whenever you have a bullish pattern, if it fails to have a full breakout, the reversal is pretty wicked, right? So it could pull all the way back to like 175. So just be patient. Isn't this just gambling? It's funny. I addressed that in a longer answer, but I'm not gonna address it today because I don't have time. But so maybe at the end, if you want to hang around, I'll be happy to address that. So that's kind of what I would watch on Apple on that play. But so far it's played out, as we talked about, right? So I hope some of y'all made some money on the Apples. Google had a nice little pop. Look at that, I had to shrink it. So you can see, again, with Google, what we talked about is watching this trend line. If we got that close below, right, then we're going to break this kind of rising wedge that we've been following. However, if we flip it above, right, back above the 200, then you would want to ride that call up. And you can see a lot of people played it that way because we had a big push, right, big reclaim, came across here above the 200, had his push up, rejected, retested the 21 right here on the golden cross, and then that causes that explosion. So, but we did get a rejection so far up here off of this trend line. This is simply put right there. Now you can see we were kind of in the middle of this wick and this wick here. We rejected a little lower, so this is where I always talk about don't be afraid to adjust your lines if you need to, because it could be, if you pull it down now, we touch this wick, right? Now you look at it, how it plays out up here, right? You actually hit each of these three right here. So, and it's still a little bit lower. So, and it may not be done, right? We may have one more push up, right? So maybe we put it right about here, and we might have one more push up to here around 137 before we have that breakdown. So that is where I would watch on Google. The key areas to watch the 21 SMA. If we flip that, ride the put down, sitting at about 134. However, if we do a retest and you start to see a bullish confirmation candles, you could ride that back up to 137. So, all right. Let's take a look at Microsoft. I didn't really like Microsoft, and you know what's funny is I had said that yesterday. I really wasn't feeling a lot of the plays on Microsoft, and it did pump. In a nice call with the rest of the market, right? We are rejecting off the resistance line as well as this trend line. So this trend line right here, if you look back, it's just this peak and this peak, kind of like we did with the I think it was Apple. So what that means is if this happens to break, right, the run up can be pretty substantial. So if you look at the overall big picture, we had talked about how it kind of rounded here. We were seeing if we, kind of like Tesla, if it was going to create this handle. We needed to break this trend line. If it breaks this trend line, then we're going to have a nice push up, at least to a retest to 335. However, what I would watch, I would not, I would be really careful taking any kind of puts on this because we are in that golden cross and we are above the 21. For me to take a put, I'd want to get below about, if you're doing a scalp, anything below 326.50, below this 21 SMA could be a nice little scalp, but I would trail it pretty tight for the bounce on the 200. If you want to take a longer one, you'd want to wait for it to break that 200. So, but if we do break anything above 330, you can get a nice little scalp. I would just tighten it up, tighten your trailing stop on your way up to this resistance here. So that's what I would do for Microsoft. Tesla, bam. So it's funny with Tesla. Oh, see, it did it to me again. Nvidia. All right, Tesla's up 7%. So let's talk about Tesla. All right. So Tesla, we had this channel here. I'm gonna delete this in a minute, but one of the things about Tesla that we had talked about, similar to what we had mentioned with Microsoft, right? You kind of had this roundedness, and then you had the potential handle forming. So keep in mind we had this bounce here, and this purple line it's a different color purposely because it's held support so many times, right? So I want you to not only support, but look where this low here is, right? We had a massive move up. Then the next time it hit it, this was when we created that line, right? Held support, hit it again, bam, massive move up. So when we were falling like this was my anticipation, is to try to stay call on Tesla because of the potential massive move up, right? So when we had our push down, we had a pretty good move up. We kind of consolidated a little bit, and then we had broken through, obviously, with the news. And the most important part of what caught this pump is you can see here, what was once support was trying to act as resistance here. Trying. And then notice how it kind of, you had your higher low each time. And then right here, you can see about 9 o'clock yesterday, we had opened up, and then when the news hit, right, just like everything else, it pumped. So it was enough to push it through. So again, I'm going to keep repeating it on the same for the rest of them, but just watch the 21 SMA on the 1 hour, guys. If it, does some kind of double top here, breaks below that, then it's just going to ride back down to 239. However, if we come down, so what I'll be watching for the room is if we come down here and touch this and we get some kind of doji with a bullish confirmation candle of support, you can ride that scalp right up to about 265. So like I said, retest of the 21 is where I would potentially enter that call. I won't enter right at market anyways. If I miss the push up, I'll look for rejection around 264. That was just this prior area here, and here, and then also support there. So it's pretty big level. So just keep a close eye on that one. So, but so far, if you caught that call, you killed it. So Nvidia, it didn't moon like everybody thought again, but we did get a bullish push. So one of the things I was talking about is, it had kind of like an ugly looking head and shoulder. It was having trouble forming this other shoulder, which is typically a sign of bearishness, right? But this is where we teach in the room, no matter what TA you do, the news is going to trump that, right? And so the news came out a little bit bullish. Not only that, if you think about this, right, we had our bottom, we had our double bottom, we pumped up, we had our retest of the neckline on the 21 SMA, right? All those things line up for growing support on there to be bullish. So not super surprised that it had that big of a move. So um, we've already broken, trend lines like this. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'm trying to capture the peak. So I'll take an aggressive stance and just kind of put a line like this where we rejected. And I want to watch and see, like, is that our peak? Now, how I can tell this is the peak, and if I want to ride it, put it back down, is if it comes up, hits it, hits it, hits it, hits it, hits it, and I get a bearish confirmation, you can ride that scalp back down. However, if it breaks this right here, and it holds as a good candle close or holds as support, right, then you can ride that back up. So sometimes, just a simple line like that can go a long way. Man, the rain is starting, guys. Yeah, we have that hurricane coming up. It's supposed to hit sometime today, so I just got a nice gush of rain hitting my window. So hopefully my internet stays up, right? So let's talk about the dollar. So I wanna touch on the dollar, guys, because I made one of the lives that I did. I think it was Monday. Let's look at the candle. Yeah, because this is Friday. So when we had marked this spot right here, right? If you zoom out on the dollar, we were just taking this peak and this peak. That's how we marked that. And one of the things that I had mentioned was with those two peaks, it's going to be a heavy rejection area for the dollar, which so far is playing out. Now, although some of the technicals on the stock show that we might show some bearishness, I had concerns if you all watched me on Monday because the dollar was looking like it was going to reject. Now, if the dollar rejects, like most of you guys know, and if you don't, here you go. So the way that the markets work, right, is if the dollar rejects, then the stocks typically go up, right? If the market goes down or dollar goes down, market goes up, dollar goes up, market goes down. Not exactly always, but pretty often, pretty close, right? So it's a good measure. If you see a good resistance on the dollar coming down, it's what could give support, right, to push it up. So that's what I think yesterday what caused the biggest push of why we went further, because I had a target of like 447 something. I did not think we'd get to 449 not this quick, right? You guys know, if you watched like last week, I've also said that I think that we are still bullish over the next few weeks or month, but we had that retracement pullback. I was watching the head and shoulders on the SPY on the 1 hour, which I didn't actually talk about that. But one of the mentions I had said was you had these two peaks, you had this peak for the other shoulder. So if we rejected somewhere around 446.35, right, then this pattern is in play. It still could be ish, but it is a little concerning that this is getting a little higher, right? So if we don't have a rejection somewhere in here or that 451, then I'm just going to consider this all pretty much invalidated, and we're just likely going to push up, create a higher low. I'm sorry, a lower high, and then possibly reject somewhere around there. So, but we'll watch that as the days go. Like I said, we scalp, so I play more of the day. So, but that's kind of where we are with the Dixie. The Dixie again, if we get a close below the 200 and the 21, it's just going to continue to bleed. So, and if it continues to bleed, we're going to go up. Bitcoin. I wanted to touch on Bitcoin on Coinbase. We can take a look at Coinbase. I have to finish the huddle I do until 9, and then I can take a look at anything after that. So one of the things I wanted to touch on with Bitcoin is, which it's funny, some people message me kind of like, what's going on with Bitcoin? Like, I feel like they don't watch the huddles. So you guys, all this stuff's recorded. You can watch back to keep me honest. What we said, our end or if, is this is fall, had a nice fall. It had support, right? Support all through here. All this was support. Since here, right, I said we had a rejection on the 200, and this is aiming down. So we're going to squeeze the 200. The 200 is either going to be enough to break it below the 28.8 or 25.8, or it's going to break back above it. If it broke back above it and we got any kind of a close or any kind of pressure up above that 200, we're going to reclaim this side. So now if you look, let's just pull back, right, to see if you can see, because there was also some that have had FOMO'd in, right? They tried to buy right in here, right? And if you miss this breakout right here, at that time it's scary, right? It's a little late because you don't want to buy on those candles. And if you zoom out, you can see we have heavy resistance in here, right? Heavy resistance. And then, I mean, you can come through here, right? So 27.8 has been just crazy support, resistance, right? So it's not surprising that we pumped back up and then had that crazy rejection from 20, I think we had 28.1 actually. So it couldn't hold it. Tried to hold the trend line, couldn't hold the trend line. So where are we going to go from here on Bitcoin? My end or if, as I always say, is on my 1 hour. We are below the 21 SMA. We have a big fall down to the 200 EMA, which is 26.5. It's going to depend on the news that comes out today and Friday. And so if we reject off of this, if we do have a pump back up around 27.5 and we start to reject, that fall is going to be pretty wild. However, if we can reclaim this 21 SMA, right, and we can break back above this trend line, that I would not take a long on Bitcoin after a candle like this until I'm not only on top of the 21 SMA, but I'm on top of my trend line that I have here. So, and you can zoom out. You can see this is capturing just only these two peaks, but on the 1 hour, right, it could be very significant. So if you're trading Bitcoin or really any of the altcoins, right, because if Bitcoin goes up, they're all going up. If Bitcoin goes down, they typically go down with it. So that's kind of my range. So I would not be taking a long quite yet. I would want to wait and see if it holds around 27.7, 20 or so, 27.8 as support. We need to flip that for me to believe that we're going up for a higher high. Otherwise, we're just coming right back down. So let's talk about my live trader. So my live trader, I am in a trade, but I purposely wanted to talk about the live trader today, and so even myself, we make decisions, based on what we see. And even though we know in the morning, right, our gut said not to, right? So my live trader, I actually reset it. So I took a total of 3 puts three total puts. So my play, if you guys watched it yesterday, was to take a put if we rejected off of the 444.50. So it pumped up like this. It exploded with the news. And it came like that, right? So it never took that put, which is awesome. It's great, right? The live trader did what it was supposed to do. So I did some other TA when we were in the room, and I had identified 446 as a pretty good resistance level, right? So I took the put here. I set that level. It played out perfectly. Got a nice win. I said, we're starting to go up, but I think we're going to have one more rejection, right? Let it go. Boom, another nice win. I literally said, all right, let's go ahead and pause it, because you guys know when you're running the live trader, I don't recommend taking more than one trade per TA analysis, especially during news, because of the fact that stuff changes, right? And so because I was watching it, I took the 2. This one right here popped at about 11 a.m. Now, it popped like literally right as I was about to, in the community, I typically am done trading by 11. Told myself to stop out of it or to not even take this, right? But instead I let it go, right? And so I did end up taking that one. So I am in that. I'm not too concerned because this is 5 contracts. What I earned on the live trading side portion of it is already equaled to whatever that is. So my risk is already mitigated. So my game plan for this, if you are on live trader and you were in the room, I think John, you did it too, is we have until Friday. So I'm going to try to, set my additional range with using another indicator, right? Because we have this one is tied up on that. So we don't want to touch that one. We don't want to touch that alert. Um, and so this is kind of a good training example, right? So how would you play it still? So you just go back to your indicators. You're going to create another one. And hopefully TradingView comes up with it quickly. They usually do, but sometimes in the mornings I notice because the traffic is heavy. There it goes. So you're going to put your email, put your passphrase. I'm going to hit apply just because I'm not showing mine, and I will add mine after. And so we're going to take another put. We'll do the same thing, 5 contracts. So if you're trying to figure out your days too, I've had people ask, how do you know what days? So you have, today's always 0. Thursday is going to be 1. Friday is going to be 2, right? Saturday, Sunday don't count. So if you take, Monday would have to be, Saturday and Sunday count as days. So you'd have to add that in consideration. So I think Monday, this Monday, I'm off on my days, is a holiday. So you got to watch holidays too, right? So let's say Monday's a holiday. You have Wednesday 0 day, Tuesday 1 day, or Thursday 1 day, Friday 2 day, Saturday 3 day, Sunday 4 day, right? And then Monday would be 5 days. So it'd have to either be a 2 day or a 6 day if you do that. If you're not sure, if you can't do that calculation in your head, you can always just open up your tastytrade and you can look at the contract days. They'll have them listed there. So we'll just stick with the 2 day. It's fine. So I'm gonna let it take right away. I'm not worried about closing the trade quite yet. We're gonna set the range 8:30, and this is, I always just set it at 9:30 because I'm allowing it to do it right at market open anyways. Okay, so we got all the bases set. Now let's see where do we want to play a rejection. So let's look at the 15-minute and just see where we got. Yeah, it's kind of I mean, we could get all the way up here to 451. I'm gonna probably play a rejection somewhere around 450, 85. And the reason why I'm choosing this is because we have just below this resistance, just below this resistance. If we push up enough, right, that would be a nice little pullback. So I'm gonna do 450, 85. This time I'm gonna just leave one trade only. We'll just get one nice win. I'm not gonna DCA, and I'm not gonna let the stop loss because I'll just take it over if I have to. Keep in mind, guys, with options, because I get messages on this too, like, you should always have a stop loss. With options, it's like isolated trades if you're used to trading crypto. I'm only trading the amount of contracts that I'm willing to lose. So I'm okay with my contract just being my stop loss, really, because each trade that I do, I'm not risking my entire account unless I put in enough contracts to be my entire account. But as long as I can keep opening directional trades, right, I can mitigate those. So I'm not worried. So that's why to answer that question, I get sometimes. All right, so I'm not gonna go through setting all the alert and stuff because I have to change the thing. But if you're not familiar with setting on your alert by now, I don't know what to tell you. Watch the previous videos. And so we have our range on the put. So now we need to find a continuation put. Where would we want to, if it breaks, keep on riding that train, right? So I would say, let's go into the 5 minutes and look for that. So let's see. I'm just seeing. I would it would need to be below this trend line, which is so far from where we are, right? I'm just trying to think of a way I can tighten it up. So what we could do is we could take a little trend line like that. So if we break below here, right, that would be enough enough room for a scalp. So I think for my continuation, I'm just gonna put like 448, I think, because that would give us below this little mini trend line, which is likely gonna come down for that retest. So let's, this one's my continuation one. So all you have to do is just adjust your days to, adjust the date 30, and then we're gonna take the put if it gets below 448. And we'll take one trade. Everything else should be the same. Yep. So I'm gonna actually delete my, oh wait, this is my last alert. That's the one that's actually live, running live. So okay, yeah. So I'll create these alerts after. But if you're not sure how to create the alert, guys, just go in here, create the alert like this. The way I do it is just hit these three dots here, hit alert, and then create like that. So, but that's gonna be my continuation. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know that I'm gonna do a continuation call. I probably should, but I'm gonna not do that. We're gonna do. We're gonna place a call somewhere off of a bounce up here. So I would need it to, for me to be okay with taking a call, I would need it to bounce off of this trend line and head back up. So I'm gonna probably put it like 447.70 or so. Yeah, I think that I'm good with that number. So we'll say 447.70. Just remember, if you have the wrong contract days in there, it's gonna reject from when it gets submitted. So you want to make sure you check that. And then change the date. There we go. So I have this one live, and then I have these two. This one is my active one that's still in there. Go back to the 1 minute. And then I have these two live. So that's going to be my range, guys. And we'll talk about it more in the room if you guys come on in and trade. For those who are curious of what I'm doing or not even sure, this is our automated trading portion of it. We just set some TA. We set some ranges. I get some people that say, well, it's basically setting a limit order. Well, it's not. A limit order would have caught me in a put down here. Instead, I'm in a put up here, right? Although it's not ideal, it ran against me still, but I'm in a whole lot better entry than I would have been, right? If I set a limit order. So this one, it uses your TA, the directions that you choose, the price that you choose, but it will not enter that trade until it comes back actually your way. And once it enters the trade, it pre-populates all your take profit zones, stop loss zones, anything like that. So, but yep, that's kind of where we're at, guys. We're 8 minutes over. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the community one. We'll see you guys in the room, TikTok, if you got any questions.